He doesn't say, I will sacrifice so-and-so. You know who he will say sacrifice. The chief of staff, the Sarah Bitachon, all kinds of his personal enemies. He has a lot. He has a long list of people who come out of this house, and he would like to make them victims of this situation. Because open-handed vows are very often in the Bible. This is not his invention. In other words, Abraham says to this Ephron Hittite, whatever you demand, I will pay. Although in the Bible, or in the Orient rather, you bargain. Abraham says no. How are the words? I wrote them down. בכסף מלא יתננה לי. Anyways, he says, whatever you demand. Do you remember the verse? How is it? He says, בכסף מלא יתננה לי. No, this is what Lot says. But Abraham says, I will pay whatever you demand. For instance, Shechem says to Yaakov ובניו, הרבו עלי מאוד מוהר ומתן ואתנה כאשר תאמרו לי. He wants to, after raping Dinah, he wants to marry her legitimately, and he says, whatever you demand, I will pay you. Which means that the second party will fix the price, which I ask you never do in the old city. Never. This is not done in regular business relations. That you say, whatever you demand, I will pay you, and you make it a promise, and you fulfill this promise. Balak says to Bilam, תכבד אכבדך מאוד, וכל אשר תאמר אלי אעשה. I will give you a lot of honor, and I'll pay you whatever you demand. Achashverosh says to Esther, עד חצי המלכות, whatever you demand, and she said, no, I don't know exactly what I demand, I will say tomorrow. So you see, he's dependent on her fixing the price, and there are other such stories. So this, I believe, shows how sincere he is in the present which he wants to give to the Lord. He says, you will fix what you want from me. You will decide what you want. No, this is my initial question. This is my kushya. This is what I said. This is my problem. You can't ask me my problem. This is the problem of the story. It's not only that God did not prevent him from sacrificing his daughter. It's God actually delivered his daughter into his bloody hands. This is the crucial problem of the story. I believe this is, if you say whatever been stored of whoever, you blur the question. Because you think he never thought about his daughter. There is a Greek parallel to our story, and this is a story about Agamemnon, who did not have, he wanted to sail to Troya. How you say in English? Troy? And there was no western wind to bring to sail from Greece to Asia Minor, and he made a vow and said, the prettiest creature who was born in these years I will bring as a sacrifice. And the goddess demanded that this will be his daughter. He thought about antelope or whatever, and he was caught by his vow. So we have such stories also in world literature. very shocking, and there are a lot of dramas, ancient Greek dramas about Agamemnon and his vow. Anyway, I don't believe, if I sum up this portion of my lecture, I don't believe that this is a hasty vow. No, this is a regular biblical vow. I believe that it is an ugly vow, which means that he tries to get over his being self-centered. I looked at the dictionary today. How do you say egocentriut in English? So they don't know the word. Could you believe this? They said instead of egocentriut, or אתם אומרים egocentriut, they say being self-centered, which is awkward. Isn't it difficult to understand? I mean, egocentriut means that this person sees himself in the center all the time. And he does not go out to deliver Israel without conditions, right? So if I'm right that he has deep feelings of remorse now about his egocentriut, right? He wants to put God in the center. But this vow is very ugly because he wants to bring human sacrifice, which means he gives up his honor, but he sacrifices the life of another person. What, are we barbarians? What kind of vow is this? So this is a very difficult story, and the Mefarshim, including our translator, try to blur the difficulty of this story. But I feel very sure that he thought about a human person who comes out, or woman or man, with musical instruments, and they shout out, Yiftach is our Savior. Now let's return to the story. When he returned home, all his world was shattered. He never thought about his daughter coming out from us. So these are very beautifully words in Hebrew, and I will read them in Hebrew and in English. Verse 33. So he has a tremendous victory, and the Ammonites yield before him. ויבוא יפתח המצפה אל ביתו, והנה ביתו יוצאת לקראתו בתופים ובמחולות, ורק היא יחידה, אין לו ממנו בן או בת. And when Yiftach arrived at his home, I would say his house in Mitzpah, there was his daughter coming out to meet him with timbrel and dance. She was an only child. He had no other son or daughter, which is a clear link to the story of the Akeida. Yitzchak is Yechidcha, is your only one, and here the narrator uses Hi Yechida, she is the only one, which is a clear link to the story of the Akeida. And now he speaks, first of all, his reaction to this is body language, which is always more spontaneous. ויקרא אותו אותה, ויקרא את בגדיו, ויאמר, אהה ביתי, אחריה הכרעתיני, ואת היית בעוכרי, ואנוכי פציתי פי אל אדוני, ולא אוכל לשוב. Very touching words. Verse 35. On seeing her, he rent his clothes, you know, on the day of victory, to rent your clothes, which means I'm in utter distress. And he says, alas, daughter, I would say my daughter, in English, not daughter. Alas, daughter, you have brought me low, You have become my troubler, for I have uttered a vow to the Lord, and I cannot retract. Now, these are very weak words in English. In Hebrew it says, "Oh, alas, my daughter, you are my enemy. You have demolished me. Achrea ichratani. You have brought me down on the earth." I don't know how to say it in nice English, but it's not like the soft English, "you brought me low," which is how people say when they sit at their desk, but not in such a situation. Achrea ichratani. You are worse than my enemy. Ve'at hayit be'ochrai. Ocher Yisrael is a person who brings calamity on Israel. Achan was called Ocher Yisrael. Achav says to Eliyahu Hanavi, Ocher Yisrael. So Ocher means actually the person who brings calamity on our people. And he says, Ve'at hayit be'ochrai. You not only demolish me, you are the cause of my calamity. This is nice. Blaming the victim for your own mistakes. He is not crazy. He is wrong. He is a bad person. He is not crazy. He is primitive. He follows his neighbors, believing that human sacrifice is the ultimate sacrifice. There is in the Bible a dark fascination with human sacrifice. In the days of Yirmiyahu, King Achaz, there is a fascination, and I dare say also a Christian fascination, with human sacrifice. Human sacrifice is the ultimate sacrifice. It's not a cow, it's not 100 cows. It's your own child. You bring him to the Molech, believing that if you do such a drastic step, the Molech will be on your side. You bring the utmost sacrifice, and you will get the utmost help. So in quite a number of buildings, in excavations in Canaan, in the land of Israel, and in Tunisia, where there were these, how you call them? Who was in Tunisia? Tunisians, you say? Phoenicians. Yes, but you had another, I forgot the name in English. Anyway, the people of Hannibal, and you know, they were Canaanites. Slicha? All right, I look for another word, but you know whom I mean. In other words, they were also Canaanites, Hannibal, Phoenicians, right. Hannibal is a Canaanite name, and his father's name was Barak. They were Hebrew-speaking people. So in excavations in the land of Canaan and in the land of the Phoenicians in Tunisia, we found, the archaeologists found the babies on the door sills, which means that the baby was sacrificed before you started to build or when you finished the building, hoping that if you make the ultimate sacrifice, you will get many babies. You will get from God many children. And the Bible fights this very strongly. And this person has not read the Akeida well. In other words, he's an assimilated person from the boundary there. He's a wild man from the desert. Was ousted from his father's home. We know the background. And now he blames her, and which we very often do. We blame the victim instead of the victimizer. Let me read it again in English. Alas, my daughter, you have brought me low. You have brought me low. You see how egocentric he still is? He doesn't say, I have brought you low. He says, you have brought me low. You have become my troubler.